Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. The international break is over. Mourinho is back in management and there are still question marks over a number of our players in terms of injuries. To help me and you hopefully make sense of the latest press conference news, I'm joined by Neale. Neale, welcome. How are you?
Very good, Joe, yeah. Enjoy the final international break of 2019 and then it's going to be chaos and bedlam for the next 40 days or so. So this was the first of I think 9 game weeks, isn't it? In the space of about 6 weeks. So.
Yeah, 9 game weeks in 40 days, I believe.
Yeah,
they should make a film of that and call it that. It'll be an epic journey through FPL. Let's start off with, before we come to Mourinho, let's start off with Liverpool because the news many of us have been waiting for regarding Salah and Robertson. Both of them emerged as injury doubts over the international break. But yeah, what news from Klopp ahead of Liverpool's visit to Palace in terms of their injuries?
As we possibly suspected, not anything completely clear-cut. So he did say that Van Dijk was 100% ready to play. Now, he pulled out of the Netherlands squad, but that was due to some personal circumstances that we didn't quite know about. As for the rest, we're still waiting on Friday's training session, which, of course, we might not get any word from. So the flags that most people will be concerned about are Salah and Robertson, both of whom got ankle injuries. Robertson wasn't even mentioned by name in this, but we do know that he's had a problem because he's pulled out of the Scotland squad. Him and Salah, as well as people like Henderson, who's been ill, were pictured at Melwood yesterday. And Klopp has said today that Salah has been training actually over the international break. He's been doing work every day, but doing work is not the same as full team training. So he said that they've been doing what they asked of him. So that's probably like light work, low impact stuff, given that he's got this niggling ankle problem. I suppose the good news is that Klopp said it's not getting any worse. So the injury, that's about a month long, this injury now. So he says it's not getting any worse, but it's still there. So he did say they have to be sensible with things such as this. I don't know if he was preaching caution there. But his final word on the matter was he hasn't made a decision yet, and they're going to make a call after the final training session today. So unfortunately, we likely won't get any news, barring any leaks from the press, about whether Salah and Robertson are definitely going to be available or otherwise for Palace tomorrow.
Well, I think for me as a Salah owner and a non-Mane owner, I think that news says to me I'd quite like to make that move. I think Mane is a definite starter. Myself and David discussed the defences of Palace and other teams in the captaincy poll, and Mane, with the amount of big chances he gets, Palace with the amount of shots they're conceding, had they been lucky not to concede more, says to me that a Liverpool player would be a good option for the captaincy. However, if you have other fires to put out and you have other moves you want to make and you have Salah, and then I think that it might pay to actually wait for your transfer until quite nearer the deadline, because sometimes with teams like Liverpool we start to get a drip feed of information coming out from some reliable sources. So we could get something overnight, we could get something Saturday morning. So just wanted to say that it might pay. I mean, I might make the move tonight, but I think others, it might pay to wait. Wait a few hours and do it right up until deadline. Meanwhile, what shape are Palace in as they prepare to take on Liverpool?
Very good. So we thought that they might have a problem at right back with Joel Ward going off just before the international break with a groin problem, I believe it was. But Hodgson said they've got a clean bill of health, which includes Ward, I suppose, and definitely includes Wilfried Zaha, who he name-checked. I know he pulled out of the Ivory Coast squad over the international break, but he has miraculously made a recovery, as I suspect a lot of these players have who pulled out of international duty. Palace in good shape.
Okay, we last saw Jose Mourinho in charge of Manchester United. He's back in management at Spurs, taking over from the sacked Pochettino. I understand he's taken training already, and the press conference, his debut press conference as Spurs manager. Got a few headlines coming out of that already. Obviously, back to his usual self. I understand that when asked about the prospect of losing the Champions League, and what effect that had on players, it turns out he doesn't know, because he's never lost a Champions League final. So there we go. Same old Mourinho. But is it the same old Mourinho? What's he been saying? And particularly amongst it all, there's probably some team and injury news there.
Yeah, the humble one, as he sort of described himself yesterday, despite the fact that he made a point of calling himself humble, which kind of is counterintuitive. But yeah, he was very sort of sanguine, and as you'd expect at the start of a reign, I'm sure we'll see the real Mourinho come to the surface in about 6 weeks' time. He's obviously, this press conference was dominated more about the talk of the appointment and Pochettino and his previous experience with Man United and Chelsea, rather than team news itself. So the only thing we really got out of it from an FPL perspective was that he said that there won't be big changes, at least at first, and that they'll be playing in much the same style. So I don't think he's going to really upset the apple cart and change things around too much at first. You would expect him to put a bit of a defensive stamp on it to try and improve the clean sheet claim. But yeah, it was mostly talk about his new personality, and what he's learned over the past year and his time away. We've done an article in midweek about his track record. That's all we can go on for now. What he's done previously. For example, he's used a 4-2-3-1 for much of the last decade, and of course he targeted players like Eric Dyer, Alderweireld, and Danny Rose, I think, when he was at Man United. So whether he's still got the same fondness for those players, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, obviously this is a bit of a learning curve for all of us. We'll have to wait and see what he names tomorrow. On the injury front, Spurs released a separate medical bulletin, which said that Lamela, Lloris and Vorm are all out, which makes Gazaniga's place secure for now. And that Ndombele and who's the other one? Vertonghen are injury doubts. They have been reintegrated back into training, but they're still slight concerns, I think, Saturday.
Okay, well, I mean, I tell you, from a fantasy manager's point of view, what I'd like to see happen is to have some stability within the Spurs defence. I've long wanted to get a Spurs defender, but rotation has always put me off. I like to see some reliability there, particularly with the fullbacks as well. He operates a similar system in that he expects the fullbacks to do a lot of work, but hopefully they can do a lot of work and actually play most weeks as well. I would like to see Harry Kane do what he says on the label, which is to score goals. He's doing them for England. Been a bit patchy with Spurs. That's because he keeps dropping deeper. I want Mourinho to shout at him and say, "Stay up there, Harry." I'd also like to see this fella, Dele Alli, make a return. And I would like to see him back on the radar, possibly in a more attacking midfield role, but at least in a role where he's getting assists, got a chance of scoring as well. The picture I put up on the screen was something we discussed on the Scoutcast a while ago. We noted that when Harry Kane was out, Dele Alli stepped up. When no Kane meant that Dele Alli went for it in terms of goals, akin to the switch on the back of Buzz Lightyear's back, which turns him into super sexy Buzz Lightyear, and perhaps Dele Alli could go that way as well. Well, I hope now there's a switch that says Mourinho, no Mourinho, and we can see Super Sexy Ali back in action again. Let's move on to some other teams as well. Man City against Chelsea, tough one to call, especially in terms of the captaincy, although I've seen Raheem Sterling very popular amongst some people. But any team news, injury news, etc. from Pep and Frank?
Yep, a couple of few interesting tidbits. Guardiola started by saying that the situation was the same as it was before the international break, in that his fit players were still fit and the injured were still injured. And then the next question, he revealed that Edison's fit, so that is a change from game week 12. He says he's trained the last 2 or 3 days without any pain, so fully expect him to be back. Chelsea, that was one of the last ones I've watched actually. Lampard says that Pulisic has actually trained since midweek, so he had a hip issue that he'd struggled with against Crystal Palace. Subsequently pulled out the USA squad, but he's in contention to play. Those were Lampard's words. Now, his usual positional rival on the left, Callum Hudson-Odoi, is the newest injury concern. He's got a hamstring issue that he's picked up with England, and Lampard said he's going to struggle to be in contention. So that sounds like he's a big doubt. We could have a situation where neither of them play, of course, on the left, because in certain games this season, tends to be maybe the bigger games. Lampard's gone with 3 central midfielders in the form of Kovacic, Jorginho and Kante, and then played Mount on the left. So that is one possibility for Saturday evening, given that Pulisic is just back in training, and Hudson-Odoi is probably going to be out.
Now, as a Mount owner, I mean, I don't, not expecting a great deal from this game, but I do like the idea that perhaps he could play further forward. I know earlier in the season he was much more effective there. He's been less effective in a more central midfield role. So there, although Pulisic is on my radar, so in a way I hope he's fit as well. So lots of decisions to make. Let's turn to Bournemouth. Wolves take on Bournemouth, but the Cherries are without one of their big names. And what of Wolves as well? Let's go for Bournemouth first.
Yeah, Josh King, who pulled out of the second game in the national break for Norway. He's got a hamstring strain. It's not a major one, according to Howe, but it's going to be enough to keep him out of tomorrow and probably a couple of weeks. So he's going to miss given the frequency of the fixtures in December, he's going to miss quite a chunk of the season there, I think. So he's out. David Brooks not quite ready to return. Ryan Fraser's the other one, really, of note from a fantasy perspective. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a late test. He pulled out the Scotland squad with, I think, a knock to the knee. Now, of course, he's been mouthing off again, I think, over the international break, saying how he's lonely at Bournemouth. So,
bless.
Yeah, I was downplaying those comments, saying, they were taken out of context and we want him to stay and all that kind of stuff. But
it'd be funny if he said downplaying it by saying, I have no idea who he is. Don't know who is he again.
yeah, he was the one crying in the corner, that lonely figure. He's a doubt anyway, whether that's a convenient doubt or not, regarding those words. But he is the one of the yellow flagged stars, but King is definitely out. So, and even for Howe, who's hoodwinked us in the past with misinformation, I do think this is actually a genuine.
He's not told us about things before, but he's never actually outright lied, and that would be. Or has he?
I'd take exception to that. I think he's been economical with the truth. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Sounds like it's in Parliament. That's what they say in the House of Commons. They never call someone a liar. They just say, economical with the truth or something like that.
He's a dishonourable gentleman.
Yeah. What about Wolves as well? They've got a few injury problems as well. Yeah,
unfortunately, this is another situation a bit like Liverpool's, where Santo hasn't really given us anything unequivocal. So Adama Traore was an injury doubt going into this fixture. He'd withdrawn from the Spain squad. It was his first call-up because of an injury picked up in game week 12. All Santo would say was that he's going to be assessed. It's the same injury he had before the international break. He said the same words about every injury concern that he's got, that they're going to be assessed. They've got another training session. Said Ryan Bennett was getting better. Now, he did offer us some words on Raul Jimenez. He was prompted by this. He didn't just offer it up unprompted. He was asked about his return in international contingent. Of course, Jimenez was the last to arrive. He'd been in action for Mexico in the early hours of Wednesday morning. Now, he was only a substitute, but it's less about the game time he played and more about the fact that he's a late arrival back. Of course, the jet lag issue. He's flying back from Central America. Santos said that they're going to have to assess him. There's the assess word again. But because there's not a lot of time to train and they're going to decide for tomorrow. He said the international players have all come back healthy. So that's one positive. But yeah, that's less than 72 hours for Jimenez to recover from those exertions. I mean, in the past, he's generally played in the game week after the international break. I think there was one incident of it last year when he didn't. But that was just before a really busy period in March when they had the FA Cup. So, remains to be seen. He's putting a bit of doubt there in our minds as to whether he's going to play.
Do you know what? He's my backup captain if I don't get Mane. Jimenez. And a little nugget of doubt has been planted there. Oh dear. But yeah, hopefully he plays. Hopefully he does well. Updates from Solskjaer for Manchester United ahead of their tricky trip to Sheffield United. And we'll come to Sheffield United as well in a moment. But yeah, first, what about Manchester United? What's Solskjaer been saying?
Yep, so Pogba's still out, as we suspected. He's going to be sometime in December when he comes back. Marcus Rojo, they've lost him to injury too. Scott McTominay, who's one of the more popular budget FPL midfielders, really. He's chipped in with the odd attack and return. Certainly been influential to how Man United play over the past few weeks and months. Probably their first choice central midfielder now in Pogba's absence. He's out. He's out for a couple of weeks with an ankle problem. Might return for game week, I think 15 or 16. So yeah, they'll have to replace him in the middle of the park. Now they have got 3 players back in training: Luke Shaw, Axel Twanzebe, and Nemanja Matic. Now Solskjaer did say they might not be all match fit given the various lengths they've been out for. Shaw's been out for 3 months, for example. And they've also got Ashley Young back from suspension as well. So just as one 4 million defender emerged, Brandon Williams, he's got 2 fit again or available again, positional rivals to compete with. And I suspect he might drop back out, despite how well he played against Brighton. I think given the fact that it's Sheffield United, who are quite streetwise, I wonder if Solskjaer will go for the more experienced figure at left back this weekend.
So yeah, another example of hipster points, definitely. Get for those that got him in early. I know Mark Southerns was one that got him in. So lots of hipster points, but perhaps not actual real points in FPL. But yeah, good. A good pick to go for. But yeah, could be on the bench in our benches. Those that got him in. What about Sheffield United? What state are they in?
Yeah, I haven't seen this in full, but I have seen a clip of the injury update, which is what we're mostly concerned about. So John Egan, who's an ever-present starter at centre-back, he's the middle of the 3 centre-halves. He's the one that doesn't overlap. He picked up an injury with Ireland and is a doubt for Sunday's game. Wilder says that he's got a chance of making it, and they're going to give him until the last minute to prove his fitness. But he's already confirmed that Jagielka will step in if Egan doesn't make it. He's the backup centre half, who's the stopper, the sweeper role. So yeah, it could be, if you're looking for any kind of incentive for Sheffield United, for Man United owners like Martial or Rashford, then they might be down one of their centre halves. They'll definitely be down their first choice goalkeeper because Dean Henderson is ineligible to play against his parent club. Of course, he's on loan from Man United, so I suspect it'll be Simon Moore between the sticks on Sunday.
Okay, now we've got loads more team news to rattle through. Where should we start? Let's go sort of chronologically, as it were.
Okay.
So let's go. We've covered West Ham and Spurs. No, we did with West Ham.
We didn't cover West Ham. No.
No, just if you just remind us about West Ham against Spurs, yeah. Because we know what shape Spurs are in, but yeah, what about West Ham?
Yeah, I'm reminding myself here because I was actually off yesterday. It's a rare Thursday off for me. So David was doing a sterling job covering for me. Antonio, Noble and Wilshere all fit, so that's bolstering their ranks. And I think that's pretty much it. Winston Reid, of course, returned over the international break. 3.9 rated defender. He was back for New Zealand in a friendly against Ireland, I think. So he might be back in contention, although I suspect he's still somewhere down the pecking order.
Nevertheless, these 3.9 million non-playing defenders can be quite handy if you are sort of, you're looking at potentially being 1.1 short of that dream move. Suddenly you can get that enabler in. So yeah, there's a few people there who'll be thinking, "Ooh, Winston Reid, yeah. Tell me more." Okay, let's go through some of the rest. Arsenal against Southampton. So alphabetically, Arsenal first for those 3:00 Saturday kickoffs. Arsenal against Southampton. Yeah, what news from either camp there?
Yeah, again, this was one was held yesterday, but I have actually seen this morning. I watched it pretty much in full. So 3 injury outs for Arsenal: Rob Holding, Kolasinac, and Saka. That's Saka, not Xhaka. Now Xhaka is possibly in line for a return. Emery said he's in a better place, and they're going to make a late decision on whether he's going to be involved or not. Given that it's a home game and there might be, more of a toxic atmosphere at the Emirates. If he doesn't play, I suspect he might leave it tactically for an away match to reintroduce him into the fold. So, yeah, three injuries there. None of whom are really big fantasy names. Yeah. Although if Kolasinac is out, then that does mean that Tierney possibly gets a recall to left wing back, having been dropped. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it from Arsenal.
Okay, Southampton, anything there?
Yeah, Southampton, yeah. They have got most players back now, actually. A clean bill of health, Arsenal reported yesterday.
That's neither a good nor bad thing with Southampton.
Yeah, well, I think he's backed himself in a corner a bit because he said yesterday that this is now the full squad I have and I can now play the system I want and the formation I want and the tactics I want. So no excuses now. He can't cite anything else. Yeah. Are we going to see a ridiculous sight of Stuart Armstrong at right wing back again? That's been the main problem, I think, this season. Lots of square pegs in round holes. So Clean bill of health for that trip to Arsenal. So no excuses now, Ralph.
Okay, Brighton against Leicester. Brighton defence actually better at home than they are away, which can skew the figures there. So they're quite good at home. But of course, Leicester are Leicester, and they've got Jamie Vardy. Only needs one shot, one goal. There we go. Brighton and Leicester, what shape are they in?
Leicester's in good shape, yeah. They've got, a clean bill of health, much like Palace. So Roger says Maddison is fine. The calf strain that he picked up on England duty is fine, so he's recovered from that. As for Brighton, they might not be as under strength at the back as we thought. So we know that Dunk is out, he's suspended. Webster, who we suspect might be out until December with this ankle ligament problem. Potter says yesterday he's got a chance of being fit for the Leicester game. So that's a lot of an earlier return than we thought. It could be a significant inclusion in the lineup, because we thought it might be someone like Balogun and Duffy at centre half, which would have made you more confident, I think, as a Vardy owner and possible captain. You can tell me more about Webster. He's been probably quite integral since he displaced Duffy, I think, at the Etihad.
That says it all. He's displaced Duffy. He's been excellent. I think the other thing is that as a Brighton fan over the years, one thing I noticed as someone, I'm not a tall man myself, but Brighton were always quite smaller than the other team. I always felt a bit sorry for them, but these days, especially at the back, they're the land of the giants. They've got
If you look at their, I think the headed chances conceded column, it's very, very low, which, as you would expect, like a 6'6" left back. Dan Burn playing. So
these guys are about 10 foot tall, and no one can get past them. But so Webster back's great. I do think they're just in general, as a team, as a unit, much more defensive at home, much more effective, and they, of course, as Spurs found out, they can snatch their chances there. So Vardy could score. You're never going to discount that, but possibly not a walkover. Anyway,
definitely not.
That's the Brighton fan in me there. Everton against Norwich. Norwich, well known for those who follow the team news, a whole list of injuries there, and Everton as well, looking popular, especially for captain options even for this match. But Everton Norwich. What are they in?
Yeah, I think we're going to go big in the scout picks. There's a little sneak preview for you later on. The Everton team news, not much really new. So Delphin and Bernard, both major doubts. They were already flagged in FPL. Cenk Tosun is fine. And then they've got the longer term injuries like Gbamin and Gomez. Norwich, some recovered, some new names added to the list. So Zimmerman, who's been out for a long time, a centre half, he could be back. In fact, he's in the squad. It's just whether or not he's fit enough to start. Kenny McLean's recovered as well from an injury picked up with the international break. Grant Hanley, who had been penciled in for a return this week or just after the international break, suffered a setback, so he hasn't been able to train. They're hoping it's not a serious setback and they're just going to take it day by day, but I know he's on many people's benches. He's certainly on mine. Jamal Lewis, first choice fullback, he's going to miss game week 13 as well because of a knee injury. And Dermich, who is Timo Pukki's, I suppose, positional rival, although he's never really threatened to start, he's going to be out for 8 weeks with a muscle problem. So, and on top of that, Pukki is fine. So there was some sight of him limping, I think, in the aftermath of that Finland victory. But he's fine, according to Daniel Farke. Anyway, he's recovered from whatever ailed him, and he should be fit to start in game week 13.
The Messiah of East Anglia, nailed on as ever. Watford against Burnley. Oh, sorry, Just any more from Everton Norwich before we move on to Watford? Burnley?
No, that's it. That's all.
That's fine. Just give that chance. So Watford against Burnley. So we're after the Watford embargo. So we're free, like gazelles running across a massive plain of news to reveal the Watford news, and of course Burnley get the updates. Yeah. What about those two?
Yeah, Burnley. Pretty good, really. Goodmanson's still out, or a major doubt anyway. Dice says it's unlikely that he's going to feature. Same with Vidre, who's like fourth choice striker. Danny Drinkwater's back. He's played for a couple of behind closed doors matches over the international break, so he could finally be in the first team shake-up. But apart from that, they're all looking good. Watford. Deeney Deeney was declared fit for the last international break, but suspect he could be back in the start 11 here. He's him and Ismail Assar both been declared fit. Sarr picked up an injury over the international break, but he's okay, according to Sanchez Flores. Apart from that, it's the usual ones. I think the ones we already knew about. Cleverly, Domingo Skriniar, Welbeck, Sebastian Prodl, Kabasele suspended. Roberto Pereira is also out as well. So he has been playing sometimes out of position up front, sometimes in an attacking midfield role, but he's out, which would maybe heighten the chances of Deeney getting a start, I think.
Okay, and last and arguably least, Aston Villa against Newcastle. It takes place on Monday. This is particularly important for those that play the Sky game because you get a captain each day there, and some people are considering a captaincy for out of these two. So yeah, what shape are Villa in and Newcastle?
Well, yeah, well, I know there's a few people who have Villa assets, not just for this fixture, but some decent ones coming up in a couple of weeks' time. I think more towards Christmas period. So Grealish looks like he's going to be fit. Dean Smith was hesitant on saying it because he said made similar noises in the past couple of game weeks and he hasn't made it. But Grealish has trained all week, and Smith said he's got no doubts that he's going to be there, so he's going to be fine. Heaton, good news on that front as well. It sounds like he's been out on the grass, according to Smith, today. And they're playing on Monday as well, so he's got an extra 2 days of training to recover. So it sounds fairly positive on that front. Jed Steer, who replaced Heaton in game week 12, he's got a partial tear of the Achilles, so he's going to be out for 3 or 4 months or something like that. So, but yeah, on the two main FPL fronts, Heaton and Grealish, fairly positive sounded. Newcastle, Richie's had another setback. He's still going to be some way from a playing return, I think, which is good news if you're a Willems owner, which I know there are a few of those knocking about. Clark is a fresh doubt. He's picked up a knock over the international break. Longstaff, the older one, the less ginger one, Sean Longstaff, he's still suspended. Lascelles is out as well. He picked up an injury in game week 12. But they do have a plethora of options at centre-half, and they've also got Fabian Schär and Florian Lejeune, 2 centre-halves, back from injury. So they're well stocked in that department. Apart from that, fairly quiet.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, that just looks nil-nilly to me, that one. Just looks like a classic.
I take that as a Newcastle fan, yeah.
But I think a lot of people who own Villa and Newcastle defenders would happily take that as well. Just before we go, just to mention that this week we have launched our rolling monthly membership scheme. This costs £1.99 a month for the first month. If you sign up before Monday, December the 2nd, rises to £2.99 per month for every month after. So those stats, the Rate My Team, comparison tool, all those kinds of things, exclusive articles as well, can all be yours on a monthly basis. Check out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for more. Also, we have launched an Instagram account this week. Please do check that out as we spread our wings further across social media. But for now, Neil, a packed team news. Thanks so much for keeping an eye on all of those press conferences. And thanks again, and good luck with the game week.
Same you, yeah. Good luck, everybody at home. Bye-bye.